Yeah, so during the summertime, it's unique because coach allows guys to go back home to visit their families, which is great. I actually think it's a very good idea to, you know, have our guys be able to get away, see their family, and come back refreshed. So I think it's a great idea. Also, it's awesome that our guys get to stay here on campus and work with me, right? Because they're here on campus. They have access to the gym. They have access to a strength coach. They work with our coaches on skill work, which is great. But the guys who leave, so the guys who go to whatever, we have some guys in Canada, we have some guys who are back in Czech Republic, we ensure that they have their own individualized program. So they leave here with a program to follow. Whether they work with a sports performance coach in their native country or wherever their location is, that's fine. It's just more so having a general understanding of what they're supposed to be doing and what we're actually doing here on campus while they're gone.
And the next question was if we are trying to focus more on our bilateral work or unilateral, because for me basketball is like both of them, but I'm not sure about the the percentage of these workouts. So what's your idea on this? Like, are you trying to do more stuff or one leg or two legs?
Okay. I'm a basketball player, so I played at the collegiate level. So I played at Eastern Kentucky, and I played basketball my whole life. So I was fortunate enough to have different trainers, different sports coaches to learn different concepts and different training methodologies as far as it pertains to training basketball players, right? Because each sport is different. And I'm huge on being specific to what the game of basketball demands from our guys on the court, right? What we're doing in the weight room and what we do from a speed and agility perspective has to translate to the basketball court, right? What good does it do for a basketball player to be able to squat 350 pounds and then they get on the court and they don't move efficiently, right? So we want to ensure first that our guys are basketball specific, meaning that we do a lot of unilateral work. We had 3 guys in our preseason training with low back issues, right? So as a strength coach, you're trying to figure out what's going on. You know, our guy, he's sleeping the wrong way maybe, because of course you never want to point the direction to yourself, right? It's not me, it's your bed, man. You need to start sleeping the right way. But we're just trying to figure out these answers to mitigate these risks for potential injuries. And, you know, after that season, I did a review. I always do a review of what I put the guys through at different cycles during the year. And we actually had a previous back issue in the springtime of that year, and guys were back squatting. Right? We were doing heavy loads with back squat. So that was kind of my in-depth analysis as far as to see what we're actually doing that we need to change. And going forward, so the last 2 years, we've done all single leg work. We try, even for the upper musculature, we try to do a lot of single arm work. But I think it's super important for the development of the basketball player.
It's a pretty funny story because I been doing an interview like last month with second condition guy from Prague, from hockey players, and he did some review also because they're present like hip issues and abductors issues because they were back squatting, and like in the last maybe 2 years they don't back squat anymore. So it's like the same story. I had it like before, but for hockey. So it's pretty much the same.
Yeah,
so it's true.
It's prevalent now, you know, and it's I think more so because as a strength coach, there's so much traditional methodology that's ingrained in you from when you get started, right? The back squat, the barbell bench press. You know, you have to be able to apply more force into the ground. That means you have to lift more weight. That's how you're going to get stronger, jump higher, run faster. So I think as this new age is kind of coming about, new strength coaches, young guys, we're starting to really kind of look into detail as far as the movement of the actual sport and how we can use different exercises in the weight room that's going to help translate to the basketball court or to rugby or to soccer or to football. Style of play defensively demands our players to move at mock speed and have, at all times during the court. Some systems, say defensively, guys can kind of take some time off, right? The help side defense, they don't have to necessarily be ready to, surge and help over. Well, our defense demands our players to fly around the court. We cover probably the most space in the half court than any team in the country because we play pressure defense. So we're up the line, we're denying every pass.
You play pressure like on half of court or full court?
Half court, right? So it's half court. There's probably like BCU, there's some teams that do some full course up there, right? They have to have great stamina and be in condition. And then from an aerobic perspective, I don't do anything long distance with our guys. So our guys don't run over anything over 2.5 minutes. Our guys don't do, right? I'm a firm believer, especially in the off season as we're looking to get the guys not only in shape and build stamina, but first and foremost, we want them to move the right way, right? So from a movement efficiency standpoint, it's all about teaching more so than it is about, running, because the cardio, the stamina is going to come from when they play, right? You play open gym, I tell them, I say, when you get out there open gym, you need to be playing as hard as you possibly can because that's going to be your conditioning, if that makes sense, right? You're going to get faster, more explosive. We got a camera right there, bro.
Oh my God.
You good?
Yeah.
You're all right. But the funny thing with a camera, we can like redo and retake different sessions, so it's all good, bro.
It's one of the players.
One of the players, yeah, it's one of the players. So. Preseason, for instance, we run essentially shuttle runs. What it's called a Bruin sprint, and what it is 2 court lengths, right? So our guys in one session will run 5 of those, and then come back down. So it's like a ladder. They'll do 1, they'll do 2, 3, 4, 5, and then back down 4, 3, 2, 1. So like 4 or 5, for instance, we expect our guys to get it. The time is, I think, 1 minute and like 40 something seconds. We expect our guys to be able to sprint that, and they get 3 times as rest because we have 3 separate groups, so they'll get their rest time, which is short because you think of working at a maximum sprint intensity, you need ample amount of time to rest. So that's kind of like where our basketball specific conditioning comes into place because it's not like you're getting all this time to rest. It's quick rest, and then you have to be able to go, and that kind of, it mimics what we do on the court.
Okay.
It depends. So that's why in season, we follow a non-linear periodization, right? Because it changes from week to week. Like our guys, if they have 2 games, sometimes early in the season, we'll have 3 games in 1 week.
That's all.
Right? So it's hard in the sense of trying to maintain strength during that time. But it's possible. So what we tend to do is we will get in the weight room, and depending on what the focus is, we'll keep that lift heavy. So our main lifts are 80% of our 1RMs during the season. Right? So that's how we're going to keep our strength, maintain it right throughout the year. We're not looking to get necessarily stronger, but we're just not trying to lose what we gained in the off season. It's not in our scope of practice to necessarily prescribe a nutrition plan. With that being said, I can give the guys tips and advice as far as exactly what's worked for me personally, right? Because I live by this. I'm not going to put the athletes through something I haven't done, and I'm not going to tell them to do something that I haven't tried or I haven't done. So if I went through a phase of trying to build muscle, I have a good idea as far as like what your body's going to need supplement wise, nutrition wise, to reach those goals. So I do give them advice. It's more so advice than it is like sitting down with them like a dietitian. Whether it's a new guy from overseas, whether it's a junior college transfer, whether it's a high school senior coming out of high school, all of our players go through essentially what I call it's a needs analysis, right? First, we need to see essentially what this player's inefficiencies are. Right, so we put them through an FMS screen, FMS assessment. Yeah, so we're going to screen exactly, what deficiencies that they have coming in that we need to fix before they can actually even start a strength program. Actually, what I like to call it's a neuromuscular adaptation phase, the first 2 weeks for all of our newcomers. And in that phase, we figure out, okay, asymmetry, right? Do you have anything off on one side of your body? Because that's going to directly affect what you do on the court, right? And then we want to look at previous injuries. We want to look at your movement, right? See how the guys move. So I'll have them do different agility drills, different reaction, proprioception drills, just to see, their motor awareness. See like if how they move in space, right? We get some guys, believe it or not, basketball players, that you would think are very coordinated, and we get them here and they're not, because they don't necessarily know how to move in space, if that makes sense.
When you're doing like agility, you are doing like you try to give them like visual stimulus or like talking and so on, or you are just doing like change of direction type of workout?
So when it comes to speed and agility development, for us it's all about progression and then variation. So once we get the technique down, that's the first and foremost important part. Especially with change of direction, is learning how to efficiently move left to right, forward, and accelerate forward, decelerate. So once they have a good movement pattern, and I assess that, I can say, okay, well, we can progress to the next stage. Then it's about variation, right? So I mean, they may be doing a ladder drill to where they have to sprint out, shuffle, close out, high hands, like on basketball court, and then they have to react to a tennis ball dropping. Right, so in that drill you have speed, you have agility, and then you have reaction. So it's a constant variation between the two. Yeah, so I think it takes time. So going back to the question before, where we were talking about incoming players, that's why it's tough for strength coaches, right, in the summer, because you're getting these guys where coaches want, put on 10 pounds of muscle on this kid or he's not going to be able to play. And it's like, that's a hard task if you're going to do it the right way. Because first and foremost, it's about keeping that player healthy, right? And if you're trying to go about it that way, most of these kids come in with so much risk for injury that it's scary. So we typically, it's anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks that it takes us to develop those proper movement patterns, and then we'll get into like the strength and the power and making the athlete stronger, faster, more explosive.
And